Welcome to season 3, episode 4. And this is my third time remaking this video. So there's not going to be a lot of cuts in here, okay? If you haven't seen episodes 1, 2, and 3, please go watch them. This story is about my relationship with my first ex-husband, Seth. And I know I haven't named him before. Fuck it, we're naming him now. I mean, the shit is public record anyway. So it's whatever. So we're going to just jump right into it. I left y'all on a cliffhanger about how me and him got into this big ass fight, right? And like I had went back and we had gotten into this humongous fight. We're going to talk about sort of the precursor or whatever you fucking call it, what happened to that situation. Sort of like a back trace or whatever. So I was living with mom and dad. I had sort of moved out, not all the way. Okay. I still had lots of stuff at his house. I'm talking everything. I pretty much just taken the clothes on our backs and a couple of things from her room. So we were living back with them for a short period of time. And during that time, he calls me and he's like, can we talk? Like, can we just sit down and talk? I really want to talk to you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, all right, let's have a conversation because we've just been yelling. Like we just been screaming at each other. And I was like, let's just have a talk. So he, asked me to come down there. And I do. Elizabeth's with my mom and dad, and we go down there and talk. Now, I want y'all have to understand, okay? I know a lot of y'all are thinking to yourself, I would never do that after, try to be with somebody again after they tried to rape me. I would never go back to that. Good for you, girl. Okay. But y'all have to consider I'm 21 years old at this time. So I can't remember exactly how old I was, but I was between the ages of 20 and 21. And he was my baby dad. He was the person I was married to. I wanted it to work. I loved him still. Like I hated him, but I loved him at the same. There was still love in my heart for him. He's the father of my child. Like you have to understand that I went back to have this conversation with him because I genuinely wanted it to work. I really fucking did. So I go there, we have this conversation. It is not a knockdown, drag out. It is a simple conversation. We're having finally a real fucking talk. Like, I asked him about that girl that he was with in Troy, which I don't know if I even mentioned that in the other videos. Like I said, there's a lot of things in my videos that I'll rewatch and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to mention that. So I'll try to do my best during this video to sort of catch all up on the little tiny details that sort of matter when it comes to that. So I probably did mention it, but I just don't remember. But when he went to Troy to go hang out, he was with a girl named Crystal. And, I was like, he was like, that's just my friend, whatever. Like, she doesn't mean anything to me, like, whatever. And I was like, so you fucked her? No, I didn't fuck her, but you fucked your sister's best friend. And I was like, your sister's boyfriend. I was like, no, I didn't. And then he was like, oh, okay, that must be a rumor then. We'll get back to that in a minute. So we ended up having this whole conversation. And I finally moved back in with Elizabeth and like the next day. And we're trying to make things work. Now, Elizabeth's birthday is coming up. Her 3rd birthday. And we always did it big for her birthday. She's our only kid. And we invite everybody to the house. We invite his parents, my parents, his friends, family, like whatever. Everybody's at this freaking birthday party at our house. And, everything seemed like it was going so well. Like it really did. Like he's laughing, we're canoodling, like everything seemed happy and good and great. And I remember like Elizabeth was so happy during that day. And just a minor note, this is something I'm going to involve as well, is that Elizabeth turned 3 years old that day, but she was almost nonverbal. She was almost nonverbal. She could say mom, dad, baba, things like that. But she was 3 years old. She should have been speaking sentences at that point, or at least some type of combined sentences, some combined words. She wasn't even doing that. And she would make sounds like kunk kunk or or something like that if she needed something or wanted something. And we were so used to it that we would do that. Now, had we brought her to a pediatrician? Yes. But we were bringing her to a pediatrician that he wanted her to go to. And I think his name was Dr. Sellers. Okay. And a lot of people love Dr. Sellers in LA City, but he was very, very, I feel, negligent on diagnosing Elizabeth or getting her the help that she needed. And he kept saying, we'll give her some more time, give her some more time to talk, give her some more time to talk. I ended up going in and asking for early intervention for her, for them to come to the house and for them to help her learn how to speak, because she wasn't talking. I mean, she just wasn't talking. So, you know, it was really frustrating and frustrating for her trying to tell mommy and daddy what she wanted or needed or whatever. So the whole thing was just like really, really bad. But again, his control over who she went to the doctor, who she went to this, like, he didn't allow me to have those type of decisions. He also didn't allow me to have my own bank account when we were married. And he kept all of our money in a bank account that had my name on it, but I wasn't allowed to have a debit card. And I had never had a bank account of my own before. So I didn't know how that worked. I didn't know that I could just like walk in the bank and get money out. I didn't know. I was just like, he's got the debit card, he can get the money out. I don't know. And you're probably thinking, you're stupid. And you know what? I wasn't stupid. I just was uneducated. Like, I genuinely did not know that's how that worked. I had no clue. And I was working and putting the money into the deposit into that account. And he would tell me how much I could spend at Walmart. He would tell me how much I could use. He was like the financial person in the house, and I fully trusted him. I didn't realize that I wasn't getting hardly any of my money. You know, and I wasn't able to buy anything for myself. It got so bad that I wasn't able to buy anything for myself that when we did live in Oklahoma, prior to us even moving back to Alabama, we had an ice storm. I did not have a jacket. And I asked him for $40 for me to go to Walmart to get a full jacket before the storm hit, and he would not buy me one. I had to get my parents to send money to me through Walmart, like Walmart to Walmart pay, for me to get money to buy a winter coat. Okay. And like, I don't think y'all understand the coercive control financially this man had over my life, and, you know, emotionally as well. It is beyond me. It is beyond me that I allowed someone to do that, but it's not necessarily what I allowed. It's what I thought needed to happen or whatever. My dad is the one who was like, why is he not providing you a coat? Why is he not buying you stuff? And, you know, and Seth would defend himself and say, oh, we don't have the money. We don't have the money. But he never showed how much money was in the account or anything. He just pretended like we didn't have money because he didn't want to spend money on me. He never spent money on me, ever. I can't tell you one time that he ever bought me anything. Not for a birthday, not for Christmas. I don't remember anything like that. And if he did buy me ever anything through the almost 3 years we were together, it must have been minuscule because I have no memory of it whatsoever. So yeah, again, I feel like me telling this part of these stories now are going to get a lot more detailed. Y'all are going to get a lot more information. And I'm not just going to go point blank, because I feel like me going point blank, y'all lose a lot of the tone. Y'all lose a lot of like how I felt and what was really going on. And so from this point forward, that's how these videos are going to be, is just me talking about things. So yeah, we go there, we get all the stuff. We go and get the U-Haul. Actually, hold on. So let's get back to the birthday party, right? We have this amazing birthday party. Everything's good. Days go by and we have the blowout fight. This is the fight that I was referring to. This is the one that was heard around the world. Because boy, I'm telling you, the way we were screaming, I'm surprised the police were not called. Genuinely surprised the police were not called. Because we were so fucking loud. And that's when he put it on me that he truly believed that I was fucking my sister's boyfriend. Mind you, let's get into that. I'm not going to leave y'all on that, okay? I'm not just going to let y'all think about that. I want to give y'all the details behind the situation. So my sister had a boyfriend. I think his name was Daniel, okay? And Daniel was older than her. He was like 19 or 20. I think she was in her late teens. So I don't know. I can't remember. I mean, I was like 20 or 21, Me and Jamie are 4.5 years apart, whatever the difference is that. And he was 19, I believe. I know he wasn't 20 yet, and I know he was an adult. So while Jamie and him were together, which was a very short period of time, I'm talking, I think they dated 2 months. Okay. During that 2-month period, I guess she had used his phone to call me because hers was dead or something at the time. And that's how he gained my phone number. When they broke up, he was texting me and calling me over and over and over because he wanted to get back with Jamie because Jamie is the one who broke up with him. Okay. Supposedly he had cheated on her with somebody else or whatever. I don't, honestly, I couldn't tell you. It was 20 years ago. I don't really know why they broke up, but it had something to do with somebody, some other girl. Right. And it was just to the point where like, I almost blocked him until he was like, hey, can we meet up somewhere? And I was like, are you fucking out of your mind? Then I blocked him. So he kept going on and on about, you know, trying to get with me and stuff and sending me text messages through another phone. I ended up blocking that one as well. That was really that. The interaction between me and this guy. He was friends with my sister's best friend, ex-best friend, okay? And I think her name is Kirsty or Christy, Kirsten. God, I cannot fucking remember her fucking name. It was crazy. I know she probably remembers mine. But I guess he had told her that, or maybe she thought that he was trying to get with me. I don't know exactly what the conversation was, but they connected. They ended up making up some situation, or she did. I'm not sure who made that up. And she ended up finding one of Seth's relatives and telling them that me and him were fucking. And that's not what happened at all. You know, it's been 20 years. Like, I think let's just say, let's entertain this for a minute. Let's just say I did. Let's just say I did. Why would I lie about it now? You know, me and my sister, we have an amazing relationship. She could give a fuck less about Daniel, whatever the fuck his name is. And I'm pretty sure my sister would have forgiven me if that would have happened. But it didn't. It didn't happen. And I have no reason to lie about it now. There's no reason for me to go on about it and lie about it and blah, blah, blah. It just is what it is. So Seth, you were wrong about that. But because it was just so weird. But he kept going on. He was arguing with me about this, pretty much calling me the whore of Coosa County, telling me that he knows that I was sleeping with this person and this person and this one. Mind you, I was going to school and working and taking care of our kid. Like, we've had this conversation, y'all. Y'all know what I was doing. I was genuinely trying to get a better life for us. And, you know, he was out here just, I think it was, is that he was projecting what he was doing like onto me, and it enraged me. It enraged me because I didn't realize, like, I didn't even understand what projection was. I didn't even know what projection was. So I just thought that, you know, he's arguing with me, not realizing what he's doing is reactive abuse. And I'm like losing my mind on this motherfucker, because who the fuck wouldn't, right? You're being accused of things you didn't do. It's rage bait. It's fucking rage bait. Like, he was the king of rage bait during that conversation. He just wanted to get me going. He just wanted to get me pissed. He even mentioned so my daughter had a chalkboard, and I don't know if I brought this up or not, but she had a chalkboard, and me and my best friend Becky had been playing a game where Pictionary or whatever, and she had now it's a chalkboard, okay? So like, we used to draw stuff on it. He had done stuff like this too. Like, we used to draw stuff like that all the time, and then we just erase it because it's a fucking chalkboard. But she drew a dick and balls, and on it, you know, Elizabeth was not around during that time. She was asleep. We were playing drinking games, and we were playing fucking Pictionary, and she drew a dick and balls, and I was like, that's a dickhead, whatever. I can't remember. But supposedly, while we were playing that game, he came in there and took a picture before we erased it and acted like we left it on there for Elizabeth to see. Okay. I didn't know that. I didn't know that till the court hearing. He also, when we're having this conversation and we're screaming and yelling at each other, he's recording me. I had no idea he was recording me. So there were a lot of conversations that we had prior to that. All our blowout fights, they were recorded. And We will talk about that later. I didn't know I was being recorded at the time. I had no fucking clue that I was being recorded. And yeah, I was going the fuck off on him. Cause like, what do you mean I slept with my sister's boyfriend? What do you mean that I drew a dick on my daughter's, like, he was saying things that he knew the answer to, but he made them sound a certain way because he was recording me. And I didn't know that at the time. So I'm just like, what the fuck are you even talking about? And he's like, quit lying. You're a liar. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it was so bizarre. And then I ended up like going the fuck off. Cause what are you fucking even saying right now? Typical narc shit. Right. So long story short, we had that blowout fight. The next day I was like, you know what? Me and my daughter, we're leaving. Okay. We're out of here. We're outsies. The next morning I call my dad. I'm like, hey, can you get a U-Haul here? Can we do it today? He was like, I can't do it today, but we could probably do it tomorrow. I was like, cool. I'm coming to stay with you and mom tonight. And then tomorrow, whenever we can, you know, we'll come back and get all my stuff. Like, I'm done. And dad was like, you're serious? And I was like, I'm fucking serious. Like, I'm done with this. I don't want to make it work with him. He was like, all right, Kim, I'm moving this one time. That's it. Like, that's how my dad was. How he is. He's like, I'm moving this one time. I'm not doing it again. So you better be sure this is your decision. You're doing it next time. So the day that's available, we go and we get the U-Haul. We go down there. He's there. Okay. Now, mind you, I have my dad, my sister, my mom, me, Elizabeth, and my best friend Becky there to help pack my stuff. I had a bunch of shit. I'd say 80% of the stuff in the house, the bed, all of Elizabeth's things, the couches, pretty much everything was mine. Minus the TV. Well, I don't think I took the couches. I let him keep the couches. So I was just like, okay, well, I'm taking whatever. When we walked in, the first thing he did was, you're not taking my TV. I said, I don't want your TV. He was guarding certain things in the house, but let me tell you what he wasn't guarding. Anything in his daughter's room. Nothing. Okay. He didn't say, oh, let me keep half the clothes so I can, when I have her, blah, blah, blah. No, nothing. Okay. He was keeping nothing. So I was just like, are you sure? Like, there was a point where I was like, are you sure you don't want some of Elizabeth's clothes? Like, when she comes to visit you, like, he was like, no, I'll buy her new stuff. Oh, okay, cool. Like, the thing was, all her stuff, she was our only child. So we doted on her. Like, all the clothes that she had, half of them she hadn't even fucking worn yet because they still had tags on them. Like, that's just because she was the first grandkid on both sides. So she was spoiled. Minus him like guarding everything that he wanted to guard, which I didn't give a fuck about. Like, you want to keep a spoon? Like, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm here to get my stuff and my kids' stuff. Once we packed up the majority of stuff, I still had some stuff in, I think it was the attic or the storage unit outside. I can't remember. But it was like my grandma's Christmas things. And dad was in there like gathering all of that and putting everything in it so it doesn't like break or whatever. And everybody else was like finishing up what they were doing. I went outside to smoke a cigarette. I smoked cigarettes at the time. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but I smoked cigarettes at the time and I went outside to smoke. He comes outside and he's like, listen, I don't want things to be bad between us. I said, well, they already are. Like, I don't know how we could be good again because they're not. He was like, well, we're never going to be good between me and you, but maybe we could make a good parenting relationship for Elizabeth. And I was like, that sounds great. Like, let's do that. And he was like, well, how about like 50-50? Like, we go 50-50. Sure. He pretty much made it seem in that short, tiny conversation we had that like everything, we weren't going to have some knockdown, drag out fight. And I completely agreed with that. You know what I mean? I was like, let's fucking do that. He's like, well, I'll file that way, you know, you don't have to worry about anything. And I'll put 50-50 on there. Like, I don't want you to be worried about nothing. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, what about child support and stuff? And he was like, well, you know, we'll get to that. And I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't want to start any fights. So we just ended up getting the rest of my things and we dipped the fuck out. Elizabeth said bye to her dad. And that is the last time she saw him for a year and a half. We get back to the house. We unload everything. At this point, I am so fucking grateful. I'm just thinking to myself, oh my God, like, it's over. This is over. I don't have to deal with him anymore. I can make my own decisions. I can keep my own money. I can, you know, take Elizabeth to a doctor that's different. Like, you know, I felt so free. There was not more of a free feeling than I felt when I got away from that motherfucker. It felt like somebody had released the chains on my arms. Like, that's what genuinely. Okay. It was amazing. It was the best feeling I've ever felt. But also there was this feeling of being watched, right? Because he knew so many people in our area and he had so many family members that know so many people. Like, I was watched even when I went to Dollar General. I was watched when I went to the gas station to pump gas. People would see who was in my car and then go back and tell him. The following months that happened after this were insane. But I tell you what was not insane, him, because I got radio silence from him. Nothing, not a word was spoken. I had called him, I think the day after, to discuss the child support stuff. He didn't answer. I left a voicemail. Mind you, this is back when they had ringtones. So 20 years ago, I wish we still had ringtones. And if you remember that, if you know, you know. But his ringtone was, I hope it gives you hell. That was his ringtone. And so I was like, oh, I know that's for me. But anyways, I left a really cordial voicemail, and I was just like, hey, please call me back so we can discuss things. A week went by, nothing. Called him again, thinking he could talk to Elizabeth. He didn't answer. A month goes by. 2 months goes by. 3 months goes by. Finally, like, I'm sort of down and out because the job that I had was a part-time job. Now let's discuss this for a second. Because I feel like a lot of people have discussed, like, oh, you made $400 a night. Like, you were banking that, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but I only worked one night a week, okay? $300 to $400 for the week for you and your kid is not a lot of fucking money, okay? Especially when you have your car note, your car insurance, all these things that you have to pay for. $300, $400 a week is nothing. Okay, it goes by just that fast. And this is 2008 during the fucking recession. So and I lived in Rockford, Alabama. I was spending so much gas going back and forth to fucking Prattville and going back and forth between that and Montgomery. Like, it was insane. The amount of money that I would just spend, and gas was, I think, $4 a fucking gallon, almost what it is now. And so it was crazy when you live that far from everything. Like, mom and dad's house was very rural and at least 30 minutes from a fucking Walmart. So it didn't matter what direction you went, it was 30 minutes. So yeah, I was dealing with a lot of things financially, and I texted him and I said, hey, do you think you could send $60? You know, I could really use the extra money. Like, I couldn't remember exactly what I needed $60 for, but it was something for Elizabeth. And I think I needed new shoes or new clothes or something for her, and food. And he said sure, and then sent it via Walmart. And that was the only exchange we ever had through text message, where I think he sent the code for the $60 and then we went and picked it up. And then it was like Walmart to Walmart pay or something. And so I did that and got the money, and then we never heard from him again. Like, he never called to talk to Elizabeth or anything. 6 months rolls around, nothing. He had sent $60. That was it. And mind you, he was working at a job that my dad had helped him get. And I don't know if I mentioned this either. He was working AGR in Montgomery as a plane mechanic for the Air Force. So if you don't know what AGR is, it's Active Guard Reserve, because remember, he was in the military and he got out. And after he got out, he just went into a drunken stupor because he was a fucking alcoholic. Don't know if I mentioned that either. I'm leaving nothing out at this point. And so yeah, my dad helped him pull some strings, helped him get a job down there. He knew a bunch of people and put in a really good word for him. And he ended up having an amazing job, making very good money down there. Now, my dad ends up messaging him, and he doesn't respond to my dad either, because my dad's like, are you going to help take care of your kid or what? And he still didn't message my dad back either. At this point, it's like, I don't know, almost a year later, and a cop pulls up to the house. And he says, "Are you Kimberly Berry?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he hands me my divorce papers. And he said, "Hey, you're being served." I was like, "Thanks." And so I go inside and I read it, and boom. He doesn't want 50-50 custody. He is going for full custody of our daughter with me having limited visitation. Okay. No reason provided. He wanted all of the things that I had taken from the house, including my own things and my car. Okay. That he had never paid for, not a dime. He pretty much asked for all of my things, plus Elizabeth things, plus full custody. I'm sitting there like, this motherfucker, okay? This piece of shit. Now, during that period of time, mind you, I had gotten another job. So I was working 2 jobs at the time. I was working at Best Western as a front desk clerk in Alex City, and I worked there nights and days. So it just depended on what they needed me for. But a lot of times I was working nights. Mom would watch Elizabeth. When I was bartending, Mom would watch Elizabeth. He didn't watch her for shit. He was not there. He didn't take care of her. I was working these 2 jobs, trying to make ends meet, trying to save up money to get an apartment or something. Because the last thing I want to do is keep living with my parents. Even though there was an amazing help, I wanted to be on my own. And I couldn't save the money no matter what I did. Again, this is 2008. Okay, people were not tipping at all. So, and that's the reason I even got the job at Best Western, is because my server job, again, I was working 1 day out the week, and some weekends I didn't even work because they didn't need me. So yeah, I was doing that, and it was very frustrating. It was very frustrating, and I felt like I had been left with nothing, no help, no anything. Now, mind you, he has had time. He hasn't paid for his kid. He has sent no money to me to help with her. He has done nothing to even take time away from me so that way I can go to work or I can do this or that. There was plenty of times where my mom could not watch my kid and I had to call out of work because we had no one to watch her. And he would not answer the phone. I decided after that, like, fuck him. I'm going to get a lawyer. We call around different lawyers. They want these exorbitant amounts for deposits and all this stuff. And I'm like, again, I have a couple $100 saved up. Okay. My dad jumps in. He's like, "I'll help you, whatever. I'll help." He ends up retaining a guy named David Law. Now, I want y'all to remember this name, okay? Because this name is going to be very important to remember later on, all right? His name is David Law. And that was the lawyer that I retained. And that lawyer, I didn't know this. It was not disclosed to me at the time that I retained him. It wasn't disclosed to me until literally like the day before our hearing, was that he was also Seth's mom's lawyer when Seth's mom divorced his dad. So they had an integral, like a very, very close relationship, him and his mom, Tammy. So, I didn't know that at the time, but I retained him. I'm showing him everything, he's telling me, mind you, I've never been through a divorce before. Okay. That was my first time being married. My parents had never been, my dad had been through a divorce, but it was very simple. It was a 30-day thing. But it was, he didn't have kids with the woman or whatever. So this was truly like all of ours first real divorce. And so we depended on Mr. Law to help us make the right decision on what we were going to counteract with. And he thought it was for the best interest for us to go for that 50-50 custody. And he said, are you okay with that? And I was like, that's what I thought he wanted. And he was like, well, I'm sure the judge will be okay with that. That's what's going to work for us. So let's do the 50-50 custody. Cool. So I go along with the shenanigans of the 50-50 custody, and I retain him and everything. And I decided that night to go out with my friends. I hadn't been out really hardly at all that whole year and a half. And my friend Becky and stuff, no, it wasn't Becky. I went with I think my friend Kayla and my friend Erica, maybe. We all went to this place that I used to work at. The very first job that I had at the Blue Iguana, I think we went there because they were having a band. So we all went there. We're drinking. We're having a good time. I had just got there. I probably had 2 beers when this guy walks up to me and he said, are you Kimberly Berry? Well, hail now, right? And I was like, now mind you, there was no social media back then. Like, how would he have known me? So I was like, no, I'm not Hale yet. I'm still Kimberly Berry on paper. Because that was his last name. And he said, well, I work with your husband, ex-husband. I was like, soon to be ex-husband. And he was like, yeah, well, he's told me a lot about you. And when he said, he like guided on my arm, like, I was like, what about me? And I back up. I'm like, what the fuck are you even talking about? He was like, well, like, if you want to go around back real quick, like pretty much saying that he was going to pay me for sex. I had never in my life been so humiliated. To this day, like just thinking about that and how that man made me feel. I dropped my beer on the table. I remember I ran out and I got in my car and I just started crying. This man had went through every length he could, told everyone he could that pretty much I was like a whore, that I was like a prostitute or something, or I don't know, like, so I don't know, like all these lies. I couldn't even tell you all of them. I don't remember everything, but I do remember that. I do remember him saying that to me. And he was laughing about it like it was a joke, like I was a joke. So I went home and I was like, I'm never fucking going out again. That's a lie. I definitely did go out again. But I felt like that. I felt like I never wanted to go out again ever. And that wasn't the last time that him talking to other people got brought up to me, telling and spreading rumors about me. He spread them all throughout Alabama. It was probably the worst way to live. You couldn't do anything. You couldn't go anywhere. Oh my God, there was so many things that I couldn't do. And it was wretched. I don't wish that on anybody, ever. The next day, I woke up and I decided that I wasn't going to go out anymore during that time period. And I ended up meeting through one of my best friends, someone else, and me and him had a very short, like, fling. Again, me and Seth are separated at this time, but me and him have a very short, like, sort of just like dating fling. I don't know. We didn't really mess around more than that. And then after that, I didn't see or date anybody else until after we got divorced. But after that little fling thing I think that's when I got told by my lawyer, Mr. Law, that we were going to have to do a deposition. And I didn't even know. I wasn't even aware what a deposition was. But he told me that that's what we needed to do. So I didn't even know what that was. And my lawyer said, hey, we need to do this. And I was like, okay, what is that? He tells me that we have to go there and we're going to be asked questions and, pretty much like will learn any evidence that he has against me. I'm like, evidence? I'm not going for, like, I'm not being put up for a crime, you know, like, but they made it seem like that. It was like I was being put on trial, like a witch hunt. Like, and my lawyer made me feel that way too. I was scared out of my fucking mind. Like, what do you mean evidence? Like, what evidence are you referring to? It was the wording. He didn't explain anything to me. He made me feel like I had done something wrong, you know? I was just so confused. And then the day of the deposition came. Y'all will not believe the questions that were asked to me.